Hey there everyone, Mazarok here, and today we're going to be doing Fire Mage, A Beginner's Journey, Episode 2. If you have not watched the first one, there is a link down in the comment section down below. And what this is, I am a pure beginner to Fire Mage. I had leveled a mage up to level 60 in Shadowlands, had attempted of like 1+2 key at some point, and never touched it, and that's been my whole experience with mage throughout my WoW tenure, my WoW experience. But now we are actually trying. We have done multitudes of keys on multitudes of weeks, and I think the first episode did a good basis on what's up. So before we do get into it though, please do like, comment, and subscribe. It goes such a long way towards helping out the channel. There is a Discord link as well, a Patreon link for those. This is going to be an early access video for my patrons, which there are already plenty of early access videos as well, and I do offer a lot of other cool stuff. Go ahead, check that out, and a Twitch link as well. There's some merch as well if you are interested in it. Let's go. Alright, so the first thing, this is going to be combining a little bit of last week and some of this week. So this week, I really put in my focus on rotation, and especially that combustion rotation. One of the things I'm still kind of confused about the combustion rotation is when to send a Phoenix Flames. Like, it seems like I'm always having Fire Blast charges ready, but with the tier set working with Phoenix Flames or Phoenix Burst, or I can't remember, I think it's Phoenix Flames. Phoenix. I think you want to send that one early off to get that damage in on it, and I don't know whether you want to do that right before the combustion to get that kind of dot rolling, to get those free Phoenix procs coming back in after you've dealt some damage and get some ability in. That one's still a little confusing to me, but I think I'm getting it more because I was really holding on to Phoenix way longer than I should have been, for sure. And I noticed that I was getting a lot more of the procs, right? Because it's based on the amount of abilities that you've dealt to the target to be able to get those free Phoenix procs. And one of the things that I really had to do was just use it more often. But that led into the next thing of Sun King's Blessing. So if you watched the last video at all, for the first portion of it, I wasn't even tracking Sun King's Blessing. I was trying to not use it, but my damage was just insanely low. And I found out Living Bomb is just a terrible ability. I tested that one out for you. It does like no damage. So don't even bother taking it. Although we're going to be talking about Living Bomb in a little bit. So it's been really a rotation of using Sun King's Blessing more and trying to maximize and plan that buff on whether or not towards the end of a pack, if I hit that last Pyro Blast, am I going to have 15 seconds between that and the next pull, or am I going to want to wait the 30 seconds to be able to just kind of start off with that Pyro Blast right off the bat, go into the hard cast once the pull is already done, and then go from there. So this is something that I've been learning to min-max a little bit more, and I'm happy with my progress along the way. But this is something I've really had to stop and think about and be like, okay, cool, and look at the damage percentage that's left and how close am I to another Sun King's Blessing proc. And I was really hoping I wasn't going to have to do that, because I was hoping Sun King's Blessing in 10.1.5, which as of recording this is coming out in 2 days, would be replaced by the other ability, which is seemingly like 10% lower in damage. But it's seemingly kind of maybe easier to kind of work around, and you can really become a 2-minute combustion class with that, but you're going to have to make sure that, from what I understand, to make use of the Unleashed Inferno, if I'm correct, it's going to be a choice node with Sun King's Blessing. Your combustion window has to be perfect. Has to be insanely good for you to make real value out of that. Where most people, Sun King's Blessing, as long as you're playing around it, is probably going to be the better option. So I don't really know kind of the way to go around here, but there are ways to get other combustions, and that is through Temporal Anomaly instead of through Temporal Warp. So that's something that I'm going to be playing around with next week as well when that comes out. But those are kind of some of the combustion rotation issues and things that I've had kind of going forward. But I am happy to say that I am progressing. My damage is getting better, my stats have been getting better, but they're really hurting the Ignite Mastery on Fire Mage with the 10.1.5 patch coming out, to the point where, from what I've been reading from higher Fire Mages, you're going to be wanting to stack Haste Verse and not Haste Mastery. Now, the nice thing here is a lot of my gear is crafted. So I can make the swap over to Hasteverse pretty easily by sending out recrafts with new missives on them and kind of not lose a whole lot, but that is going to be a little gold dependent. This is also a risk that I took by starting to play Fire Mage and trying to go a little bit too min-maxy right off the bat, but there is a complexity to the spec that I want to be good at immediately, and it required better stats. And with the stats that I ended up getting, I'm still a little bit low item level. I'm like 428, I think it is, 426. The trinkets are well along the way, and I'm happy with the trinkets. I like where things are going, but the stat change is going to mess me around a little bit. It is a risk that I took. It didn't pan out, but, you know, there's still a couple of days to the patch. Maybe in practice, Mastery still ends up being the better one, so I am going to be a little bit slow to swap over to Hasteverse, but I'm going to be trying to get those new talents kind of worked in and see what works best for me as a Fire Mage in Keys, right? Because there is a big difference between what the biggest Fire Mages in the game do now, or the biggest, the top, the best, do now in organized groups in the highest keys, and what a pug scrub mage like myself can pull off with Joe Blow tank, right? The average tank out there. And you want to try to be able to maximize your build for any kind of scenario with pugs. So we're going to be testing out some fun stuff along there. So that's going to be episode 3. And then lastly, because of the new talents, and like I had said, they're kind of making the Ignite Mastery be a little bit less. They're doing that because Flame Strike is now going to be baseline, and you're going to have talents that upgrade it. And one of the interesting things that you have for Flame Strike is your Flame Patch, which leaves a patch on the ground of your AoE Flame Strike, has a chance to apply Living Bomb to the target. And on dummies, I have seen this apply 3, 4, 5 single bombs at a single time, which is really, really nice, which I find it funny that Living Bomb itself as a talent is not going to be taken at all because it just doesn't do enough damage on its own as a singular talent, even though there is a really good ability, apparently, Firefall, if I'm not mistaken, which you have to go take cooldown reduction on Living Bomb, which you're not even taking Living Bomb anyway. I think that's kind of funny with the tree, and personally I think that could be reworked. I would also really like to see something really take the place of Sun King's Blessing in the place of pugs. I can see Sun King's Blessing being very, very good along the way, and the top Fire Mages and organized groups with groups that are constantly pulling around, that sort of combustion window, it being insanely good. But for the average pug, making Sun King's Blessing work is honestly kind of requires a PhD at time, and being able to make a judgment on the group that you are in currently, the tank and the healer that you currently have, watching a healer mana, because the last thing you want to do is prepare for a Sun King's Blessing because you think you're going to have enough time to get that off between the next pull, but the healer's mana is at 0 and they need to stop and drink, and then suddenly that's gone. Right? And there's a lot of factors that go into that Sun King's Blessing. But that's where I am now with Fire Mage, and I'm having a lot of fun learning the spec, and I'm going to have a lot of fun learning and playing the spec as it goes on. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. This has just been the thought process behind me learning and kind of the retrospect behind it. The first video did very well, and I'm hoping the second one does does good as well. So thank you very much for watching. Have yourself a good one. Happy Fire Maging. Happy blowing upping. Happy living bombing. Happy fireballing. Happy fireballing.